The goddess imposed a trial on humanity, who continued to destroy nature. Unless a certain level of results was achieved there, humanity would be destroyed. Dungeons suddenly appeared all over the world, and the concept of levels was born. And our protagonist, Suzuki Hinata, was going to learn he was in the center of it all. Suzuki Hinata stood among other students after the Seeker awakening at school. He looked at his hand, seeing the mark that proved he had awakened as a Seeker. When Guy showed his mark to Hinata, telling him he had become a Seeker, Hinata smiled casually and said that was amazing. However, Guy immediately dismissed him, laughing and telling Hinata to do his best to, with a mocking tone that suggested he didn't take Hinata seriously. Guy got closer to Hinata and told him that for a level 0 like him, this was probably impossible. Hinata looked startled and confused by this statement. Hinata recalled that ever since dungeons appeared on Earth, the concept of levels was born, making the world about survival of the fittest, which wasn't exactly a good thing for poor Hinata. He recalled that earlier in the classroom, Guy and other students mocked Hinata, saying there's no way he could become a Seeker. Hinata lacked confidence to think he might be able to become one, and Guy and others kept mocking him for awakening with the lowest potential rank, F. Hinata thought maybe his level might go up in future, but Guy felt disgusted upon hearing that a weakling believed he could become strong. Hinata sat at his desk with his head down, thinking that just because someone was level 0, it didn't mean it was the end for them to say that they liked us. But others kept teasing and looking down on him. Apparently, ever since awakening, he had decided to leave his hometown to escape that negative environment and enrolled in Seishin High School. But he never imagined Guy would join the same school. Guy made sure to ruin Hinata's first day by telling everyone about the eternal level 0, Hinata. Hinata looked up at the sky as the announcement for today's Seeker ranking was made. Apparently, Seeker ranking lists named Seekers based on their performance in the dungeons, and the top 100 Seekers were treated like heroes. Hinata wanted to explore dungeons as well, but there was no way someone would let a level 0 like him join their party, since dungeons had monsters and were full of danger. Some students muttered, "Wasn't that student there a famous one?" Hinata followed their gaze and saw Kamui Hinata, who was said to be the strongest high schooler this year. That's because her potential was awakened as rank S, and she has already become a part of the student council. She was also the daughter of Kamui Conglomerate, and all the guys had a crush on her. Hinata was shocked when in class he found out that his seat was right behind Kamui. He didn't want to get any more attention he already got, as the guys were now jealous of him and their gazes felt like piercing him. As the introductions were going on in order, it was Kamui's turn, but she only introduced her name and sat back down without any formal 2 lines. Students around were shocked and thought that was some stuck-up attitude. The teacher continued the introductions, and the next turn was of our protagonist, Suzuki Hinata. He introduced himself nervously, and his same last name as Kamui Hinata led to students having some doubts. Hinata just continued through the introduction with an awkward tone and finished it somehow, while Kamui was sitting silently throughout. Next up, he went to the student dormitory he would be staying at from now on, and there he met the dorm mother, or in charge of dorms, Kiyono. She gave him the rule book and asked him to read through it. Hinata took it. Then he went to the cafeteria, where a get-together was to be held for students to get to know each other. As he walked further up to his seat, he heard a girl asking others, why don't they form a party, since their ranks were so close. Others liked the idea. Then Hinata came, and the girl asked him who he was. Hinata introduced himself as Suzuki Hinata, and his rank was F. Hearing that, the girl let out a surprised voice and apologized to Hinata for her reaction. It was just rare for someone other than a Seeker to be a dorm student. Hinata asked if that's so. One of the guys agreed that's right. Sensation High School favored Seekers after all. Hinata wondered how he even managed to get in with F rank himself. Then the students noticed Hinata was wearing gloves to hide his license. Apparently, ranking was not only an indicator of potential these days, but also something that decided their social hierarchy. The girl tried to comfort him, saying being an F rank doesn't mean he couldn't succeed, and there were cases where even A rank Seekers don't improve if they don't have it in them, although S rank Seekers were in a league of their own. So in other words, potential was just potential in the end, and the final results depended on the Seeker themselves. So she thought if he kept trying, maybe his day would come as long as he raised his level, though she has never heard of anyone with F rank making it big. Hinata knew the reality was tough, but to think it would hit him this much was kind of hard to deal with. He went to the dorm room and lay on the bed while thinking about his level. He checked his phone, and his sister asked him over text if he was liking his new school. She was also planning to do her best to get into a school next year. Hinata didn't want to be contacted for a while, since he was embarrassed to have this rank F. Moreover, he originally enrolled in this school because he wanted to make life easier for Mother and his little sister. He thought if he became a Seeker, he could make a lot of money. Yet, things didn't seem to be going well so far. At this rate, he might disappoint them. He refused to let that happen, and determined himself to do his best and try to defeat some monsters in a dungeon to see if he could level up. He didn't want fate to decide how his life would be, even if that means working harder than anyone. The scene shifts to Hinata standing in front of E-Rank Dungeon 117, and he chose this dungeon after talking to dorm Mother Kiyono. She wished him good luck and hoped he wouldn't push himself too hard out there. Hinata agreed with her, then went to the reception at the guild. He asked at reception if anyone was there, then suddenly he heard a sound sound of the receptionist hitting the table. She welcomed Hinata and asked if this was his first time. He confirmed it was, and from his uniform, she understood he was a student of Seishin High School. She didn't need anything else and proceeded to give him a license as a seeker. She looked for some box, but it didn't seem anywhere on the desk. She asked him to wait as she went back to get it. While she was gone, Hinata looked at the crystal placed on the desk, which was a magic device to check their potential. One's rank was determined by the color it shows, and Hinata was kind of curious to take a look at his potential after so long. But this time it showed black color, and Hinata's expression grew sad, as he knows that black means no potential at all. That was also what determined his level was 0. He was feeling like he was being swallowed by this dark black color, unaware that he was actually being consumed out of nowhere, and the darkness was taking him somewhere. Meanwhile, the receptionist got back with a license box and was surprised, as Hinata was not here anymore. She wondered if he went home or something, but Hinata was actually being transported somewhere by the darkness, and some hands consumed him into a deep pitfall beneath him, and he couldn't even scream for help. Suddenly, Hinata felt like he was standing on the ground, and after he opened his eyes, he realized the fall had stopped. But he was in some unknown place where he couldn't see anything. It was like a forest in the night time, and he wondered where he was right now. Suddenly, a notification appeared: Dungeon Info Skill Acquired. With this skill, he learned that he was in a dungeon named Lucifano Fallen Heaven. He doesn't understand why he was suddenly teleported into a dungeon. Then he acquired another skill, Area Scan. Hinata doesn't understand why he had been hearing these voices. Then he started feeling suffocated by the atmosphere in the dungeon. He was having trouble breathing and even standing here. Then the system notified that Hinata acquired the skill Foreign Object Resistance. The pain eased a little, but he was still not completely fine. Then he acquired another skill, Ailment Resistance, but it only improved his condition very little. Hinata wished someone to help him, and while he was struggling, his resistance skills evolved multiple times to the level that would help him become fine in this crushing environment. He suddenly found himself lying in a room, and he didn't understand how he was still alive. However, it was great he didn't die, since he fainted in a dungeon earlier, which generally means as good as dead. But before he could feel fully relieved, he was again transferred back to the dungeon, as if his consciousness was playing with him. Hinata don't get why he was inside a dungeon again, and how long he was out for. Was he fainted here all this time? And what were those skills acquired like in a game? He then acquired a status window to check his skills, and there his skills acquired so far were listed in active and passive sections. Hinata didn't really get it all, but he got an idea that he acquired a skill automatically whenever something happened. First, his priority was to find a safe place, so he thought of moving forward for now. He used the Area Scan skill, which conveniently gave him an idea of the place around him, as if he was looking at a map. He also found out later that the air around here was poisoned to extremes, and he was okay thanks to the resistance skills he acquired. Although due to the dark, it was hard for him to see properly where he was going. Then he acquired another skill, Night Vision, which made it easy for him to see now. He recalled having read a guidebook about dungeons a long time ago, and he should be wary of traps around the dungeon. He thought if it were an E-rank dungeon, he wouldn't be worried, but the level of this dungeon was unknown. He happened to come across a small pond, and Hinata was glad to see some water finally. His throat had been killing him dry, so he collected some water and drank it, even though it looked weird. He thought it might be looking so due to night vision, but no, the water even tasted awful as it looked. Then he acquired another skill due to being in danger, Stamina Recovery. Hinata wondered what happened now, which caused him to gain a skill like this. Was he going to be attacked by a monster or something? But when he checked with an area scan, there didn't seem to be any monster around, which means the only danger right now must have been this water. Hinata tried splashing that water on a rock, and shockingly, that rock melted away, making him realize that it was a deadly, poisonous water. He was glad to be saved by status ailment nullification skill, and learned the hard way that he should not underestimate a dungeon. He needed to act more carefully now. Hinata went ahead, and he came across a different area with rocks. He realized he had walked quite a bit, but still hadn't come across the exit. But now that he thinks of it, he doesn't know how he even got in here in the first place. He hasn't even received his seeker license yet, so he might be trespassing right now. Suddenly, Hinata sensed a strange feeling, as if something was there nearby him, most likely a monster. And as he hid behind a rock instinctively, he happened to see the monster around him. It was a dinosaur-like monster, and Hinata knew he must not make a sound in this situation if he wanted to live. He didn't even know what that thing was, and thought this dungeon doesn't seem to be a dungeon of weak monsters. On the contrary, that dinosaur monster could be this dungeon's floor boss. Either way, he thought he should turn back for now and wait for this thing to leave before moving further. But he ended up making a mistake and stepped on a branch, which created a noise, and the terrifying monster noticed him. Hinata knew he was done for, and as the monster began chasing him, he started running away from it in fear. Hinata didn't want to die like this, and while the deadly monster kept chasing, Hinata received a notification saying he was in danger. Hinata shouted he already knew that. Then the system gave him the skill Speed Boost, and due to higher danger, his Speed Boost ability evolved right away, helping him lose the trail of dino monsters there. But then the dino increased its speed as well, and started chasing Hinata even on on the rock walls. Hinata's skill evolved twice in the same moment, doubling his speed 2 times, and eventually evolving to max level Transcendent. Hinata thought he managed to escape that thing somehow, but he was now in an unknown forest area. He was worried, because even with his increased speed, he doesn't think he could run through forests. The dino monster chased him through a scent, and Hinata didn't think he could run away from this monster now, making him wonder what he should do now. Now he has no option but to consider fighting this damn monster. But Hinata didn't know how he could even fight that thing. He hoped that maybe he would acquire more skills as he fights that thing, but it was extremely risky. The monster roared at him, opening its jaw and coming to devour Hinata. Hinata lost his confidence, realizing he can't fight after all. The monster lunged at him, covering the distance between them in an instant, and Hinata reflexively ran back a little to dodge. The dino then tried to stomp Hinata with its feet. Hinata jumped inside, managing to be alive, but he was now running out of stamina. He then acquired endurance boost skill, which increased his chances of enduring the battle until he got a chance to escape. He noticed the dino wasn't attacking him, making him wonder if something was wrong. Hinata noticed he was standing beside the poisonous water pond from earlier, which gave him an idea, and he thought of trying it out. He collected some water in hands and tried scaring the dino with it, and surprisingly, it seemed to be working. Now Hinata felt like the boss here, and he throwed the poisonous water at the dino. As the drops of poisonous water landed on Dino's body, the dino monster screamed in pain. This confirmed Hinata's suspicions that the monster was scared of this poisonous water. As the dinosaur tried keeping its distance, Hinata kept throwing more water on its body, slowly wearing down the dino and taking revenge for that thing chasing him all the way here. The dinosaur collapsed after taking severe damage from the poison, and Hinata wondered if it was dead. He recalled that guidebook said to be careful, even when it looks like they defeated the monster. Hinata poured more poisonous water on the dino monster's body until the skin melted away and bones surfaced. Hinata was relieved now, and he wondered if he could use the bones of that thing for clearing this dungeon. He then acquired the skill Monster Dismantling. Hinata was surprised he could get skills just by inspiration as well, and he checked Monster Dismantling was in his active skill section. He has gotten an idea of what active and passive skills were. Active ones were used directly when he wanted. Passive ones remained active all the time. He decided to try dismantling the monster right away. As he activated the dismantling skill, the corpse of the dino monster was turned into clean, neat bones and hide parts, and Hinata just acquired a huge amount of materials with this battle. He looked around the stuff and realized he also got the magic stone of the dino monster. He wondered if E-rank monsters drop magic stones a size 1 to 3 centimeters. Just what rank this one was to be this huge. Either way, he was sure this would fetch a high price, although he was now worried about how to carry all this stuff. If only he had a magic back or something that would allow him to carry all this stuff, like a storage skill or something. He kept thinking about it for a while. Then he lost hope of getting one, since there was no reaction. Just then, he acquired the skill Dimensional Storage. Hinata knew it would work, and with this skill, he managed to store all the dino monster items. However, he couldn't see their details or information. He checked how to take them out and store them repeatedly, and the process proved to be convenient. He then looked at the poison water and wondered if he could store it. He tried storage skill, but it didn't work, making him wonder if he could not store things from inside the dungeon, or was it just liquids? Now he thought he should not waste time thinking too long and find a way out of here. Hinata walked back into the forest, and he thought back on the dino monster that he defeated earlier. He didn't seem satisfied, because even though he managed to defeat that dino, his level 0, multiplied by anything, was still 0. Hinata was feeling self-conscious of his 0 level, which didn't increase even after defeating a monster. He proceeded further into the dungeon's rocky areas, and this time there were rabbit-like monsters here. He thought that he should try going around without being noticed, but ended up stepping on a stick again this time. Hinata can't believe his bad luck, as more monsters found his location, and he was in a bind now. Hinata acquired a skill trap detection and trap nullification, which would help him avoid these traps from now on. But for now, he has to make it alive through these rabbit monsters. Surprisingly, he was able to dodge their attacks easily, as these rabbits were way slower than that dino earlier. He figured his skill speed boost at max level should be at play as well, and from his view, it's like those rabbits were standing still. They seemed to be full of openings, so he decided to take a chance and hit the rabbit monster. But just increased speed didn't seem enough to defeat them. Then he repeated the punches, dealing damage in multiple blows. As he kept punching them again and again, he managed to acquire a skill called Unarmed Mastery. This time, his punch was way too heavy and impactful as it sent the rabbit flying and defeated. Hinata was aiming to acquire a skill like this from the beginning, and now it made it super easy for him to kill those rabbits in seconds, while they were no match for him. Hinata also managed to evolve his skill into martial arts. A rabbit was about to attack him from behind, which led Hinata to gain the skill Emergency Evasion to dodge it. As the battle progressed, he acquired Intimidation Resistance and Fear Resistance as well. Hinata was grateful for acquiring skills like this, since they made up for lack of level ups. He absolutely needs to become stronger, so he won't cause trouble for his party members in future if he ever joins one. And to make it happen, he decided to acquire a lot of skills. levels. And he thought if he keeps trying, maybe the day he would be rewarded for his hard work would surely come. He kept fighting the rabbit monsters for a while, and in the end, he managed to gather quite a lot of magic stones and monster materials obtained after dismantling those rabbit monsters. He also noticed that magic stones acquired from rabbits were bigger than what he saw in the guidebook. For now, he has to think about surviving and bringing these materials back so he could sell them. As he progressed further, he reached a divergent point, and after choosing the right path there, he ended up coming across something bright and glowing. He immediately understood that was the exit and ran towards there in hope to get out of this hell. Hinata couldn't forget the experience he had here, being thrown into a high-ranked dungeon out of nowhere and then running from strong, deadly monsters. For the first time, he was feeling something great had happened in his life, and he was now saved. But the very next moment, he ended up looking at the face of the receptionist. Hinata was standing before her all confused, and she suddenly screamed out in surprise from him appearing so suddenly. He asked her if she was okay, but she shouted at him to at least make some noise when he entered the reception. He apologized for that. Then she recognized he was the student from yesterday. Hinata was confused to learn a day has already passed, and he must have remained unconscious in a place like that for so long. He was surprised he made it out alive. Then the receptionist asked him what he would do now. Would he like to proceed to getting a license now? Hinata nodded, and she also suggested he should have it, since it makes many things convenient. She then asked him to place his hand in this registration device, and Hinata did as instructed, feeling nervous. After that, the receptionist was shocked when she saw black mist coming out of the box, and Hinata sadly admitted that actually he was born level 0. The receptionist couldn't keep her surprise and yelled in shock. She later apologized for her reaction, and Hinata showed his hand to her, with a mark of dash on his hand. However, he wasn't feeling as bad this time, since he learned he could fight in the dungeons now, and even if he might not be able to defeat powerful monsters, he could at least collect and sell small magic stones somehow and earn some pocket money. It should be enough to help with household finances and buy things his sister likes. The receptionist finished the registration process and congratulated him for becoming a seeker officially. Hinata thanked her and went outside. This time the announcement on the blimp said there was a new seeker on the first rank now, but for some reason, their name was not showing up, remaining just question marks on the title. Although the first rank guy's points were said to be overwhelmingly higher than others, more than anything seen in history. Hinata thought the guy in first place must be nice, and if he could get on the ranking someday, it would be amazing, although he was just fine with a stable life. But due to that question that marked the guy on the top of the rankings that day, the world was about to change drastically, while our protagonist didn't know the key role he was going to play in the future in all of this. But no one knows that for now, not even the unknown rank one himself. Later, Hinata went to the purchase center, where he could get his magic stone assessed, but the machine said the assessment of the X-rank magic stone, which was the stone obtained from Din Monster, was impossible to him. That means he could not sell it here. He tried selling some more magic stones, but they could not be assessed by machine either. Hinata wondered if the machine was broken or something. He then tried a smaller magic stone, and this time the machine said that one was a special magic stone worth 300,000. He can't believe the large sum for just a tiny stone of the rabbit monster he defeated earlier. And to think he got so many of those stones means he was already rich. He knew it would look suspicious if a high schooler like him suddenly obtains a large amount of money. He sold just one magic stone for now and was tired for the day and went back to dorms. There, he met Kiyono on the way, and she welcomed him back. Hinata apologized to her yesterday and told her he was in the dungeon and couldn't come back for some reason. Kiyono remarked he was a troublemaker kind, but was glad he came back. She told him to never push himself too hard again and value his life above everything else. Hinata was surprised she believed him just like that, and she could not believe it after seeing his appearance looking all dusty like that. Hinata didn't realize he was this dirty and was walking around everywhere like that. Kiyono smiled as he seemed to be enjoying whatever he did, and now she called out to him by his first name, Suzuki, and congratulated him upon becoming a seeker. Hinata was really happy to hear that and thanked her for congratulating him. The words, "he became a seeker," really made all his sufferings disappear in that moment, and Hinata headed to the laundry room. He had an image of Kiyono being cold earlier, but it turns out she was very kind. Then someone pointed out he got some serious dirt on him, suggesting that he came back from a dungeon. It was a girl, and she mentioned it was normal to get dirty in a dungeon. She introduced herself as Fuji Hiroto, and Hinata introduced himself as well. As he continued to launder clothes, she asked him which dungeon he went to. He replied it was E-rank dungeon 117. She thought it was admirable, since everyone wanted to go to D-rank dungeons at first. Hinata replied that he was kind of forced into a dungeon and somehow managed to come back alive alone. She thought it must have been tough, but when she realized he went alone, she was shocked and told him that was very dangerous and he should form a party first. Hinata saw that coming and agreed to do that from now on. Fuji told him he could invite her next time he would go. She might not be strong, but could at least be of some help in an E-rank dungeon. Hinata thought Fuji was a very kind person, and he wanted to be useful to others one day like that as well. The next day after the classes, he was glad another day went without any troubles, but then he was called out by Guy, referring to to him as level 0. Hinata greeted him back nervously. The guy seemed serious as he asked Hinata to lend him his ear for a second. Later, they went to the rooftop, and Hinata was nervous, wondering what Guy could want from him. He recalled they had been classmates since middle school, and Guy had always looked down on him and used violence as well. To him, Guy was a symbol of fear, but thanks to fear and intimidation resistance he acquired, he wasn't scared anymore. Guy called out Hinata's name. Then out of nowhere, he threw a punch at Hinata, but Hinata was surprised not by the punch, but how slow it was. Hinata managed to dodge it with ease, and Guy was astounded by the weak level 0 dodging his blows. Guy got annoyed and moved to punch him again. Hinata thought even those small rabbits from the dungeon were stronger, and while to him Guy was full of openings, he was about to smack Guy from back with a chop. Then out of nowhere, a sudden gust of cold winds flew toward them. As they faced the cold winds, Hinata acquired the skill of cold resistance. Then they heard a girl telling them not to fight. It was Kamui from the class, and Guy was pissed off from her intervention. He told her this has nothing to do with her, but she wanted this to stop at once. Guy was intimidated by her cold air and gave up on fighting with Hinata. However, he warned Hinata to remember this. Hinata has never seen Guy like this. This must be the intimidation from an S rank. Hinata then thanked Kamui for helping, but she seemed to be displeased by something. He wondered if he should have apologized or something. Man, it was really hard to get a woman's feelings. He tried making small talk. Then suddenly more cold air began flowing out from Kamui's body. Hinata doesn't understand why she was doing it, and even his cold resistance skill evolved in the situation. Hinata was confused if he was being attacked by Kamui. This incredible cold air seemed too much for a human to bear, and Hinata figured if he did not have this resistance skill, he might have died. He doesn't understand why she was doing this, and it seems she was trying to say something. Hinata wanted to avoid taking any more of this cold and escape somehow. He asked Kamui why she was doing this, and in any case, he needed to stop her because he didn't want to die either. He charged at her to stop this, out of self-defense, but that sprint startled her. As he reached close to her, he was about to attack or do something, but out of nowhere, she apologized to him and started crying. Hinata was caught off guard by that reaction. As she began crying out loud, she again said sorry, claiming she could not hold these cold airs when she was scared before. She kept saying sorry again and again, while noticing that Hinata was not normal. She wondered if he had been hiding his true powers and being seen as level 0 on purpose. To think no one had noticed it, even the teachers, was strange. She recalled earlier when Guy called out Hinata. She doubted her eyes and wondered why Guy was picking a fight with a strong guy like Hinata. And when she saw the two fighting, she got scared and activated her divine protection of Ice God skill, which constantly emits powerful cold to freeze the opponent. She thought she could manage to control it for now, but there was still the risk of it getting out of control and hurting others. Later, she saw Hinata taking her cold airs as an attack and still didn't freeze at all. Instead, he charged at her, which scared her and she didn't want to die. Now in the present, she was crying, and Hinata didn't understand why she was scared when she attacked first. She explained that her skill got out of control. She didn't mean to attack him. Hinata understood the situation now and was feeling bad for misunderstanding her when she was only trying to help. He took out a handkerchief and wiped her tears to calm her down. She was surprised by this for sure, and Hinata was feeling guilty for making her cry. He muttered thanks for helping him and told her that if she was ever in trouble, she could tell him anything. After saying these things to her, he started walking away, speaking some words of help if it's in his ability like an introvert. She wondered why he was being so kind to someone like her, who released cold, deadly winds at him. She asked if he meant those words, and Hinata just nodded his head, which made her happy for some reason, and she asked him for a favor. Hinata was shocked when he heard the favor she wanted, and asked if she was really okay with that. She nodded her head, and Hinata recalled her sister's words, that if he makes a girl cry, he must apologize with all his heart, then grant all her wishes. But Hinata was a little unsure about what Kamui asked of him. He agreed to grant her favor for now, and wished to try his best. After that, they walked back together, and Hinata recalled that divine protection of the ice god was truly terrifying, and he thinks she might seem emotionless since she was always trying to suppress it. And to think she was also scared of fights shows she was really a normal girl on the inside. And he told Kamui that he would be heading to dorms now. She hoped to see him again later, after which they walked on their ways. Hinata recalled something his sister said, that he should not let a girl walk home alone, but now he has lost his chance to do that, as she was already on her way. He wonders what he should have done there. He doesn't know for sure, since he never really talked to a girl other than his sister before. Then Fuji called out his name in the cafeteria out of nowhere, which startled him, while she asked if she could sit next to him. He was okay with that, and it seems she brought a lot of food along with her to eat. He wondered where all that food fit in that body of hers. Then she noticed him looking at her. Hinata thought she was like some cute, small kind of animal one would want to protect. She asked if he just thought she looks like a small animal, and she knows that since she gets that a lot. She told him it was rude, and asked him if he was troubled about something before, since he had a stiff expression. Hinata mentioned it's just that he doesn't understand girls, which piqued her interest, and Hinata told her that he happened to be walking with a girl, and when his path to dorms was different, he just saw her off. But his sister told him once that he can't let a girl walk home alone, and see her off until the very end. Fuji laughed and asked if that was all troubling him. She told him what his sister said was reasonable, trouble. But it kind of also depends on whether the girl wants to be walked home or not. Hinata felt nervous and thought Kamui wouldn't want to be with someone like him anyway. So he misunderstood greatly to think he should have walked her home. Fuji told him he should try asking the girl first, since a woman's heart was complex. Hinata mentioned that his sister said that as well, and Fuji thought she would get along with his sister. But his brother mode activated, and he wouldn't give his sister to anyone. Later, at the private training room at the academy, Hinata and Kamui were there, and he asked if she was ready. She confirmed she was, and started emitting cold winds with her skill. And this time, she directed them at Hinata. Hinata wondered if he was going to be frozen here today. Then he looked back at Kamui with a serious stare. Kamui jumped in fear, but she remained firm in her place and believed it was fine. Apparently, she wanted to overcome her own skills and practice hard to master them. So she wanted Hinata to keep glaring at her. Hinata recalled this was her request. As it turns out, she was afraid of people glaring at her. Earlier, when she was glared at by Guy, she got scared and lost control of her skill. Now he continued glaring at her since it was her request, but it was hard to stare when he didn't feel any hostility for her. She wanted to overcome her fear this way, but she didn't think he was glaring hard enough at her. He apologized and tried harder next time. Now that he was glaring at her more seriously, she got nervous, as Hinata's glare was feeling like something terrifying to her. She tried to maintain her stance in front of glare, but eventually lost her determination and fell down on the floor. Hinata went to her, asking if she was okay. She asked him if he was stronger than yesterday. Hinata replied he wasn't, and he knows he can't get stronger since his level doesn't go up. Kamui apologized for crying again. Then out of the blue, she asked him why he was being so kind to someone like her. Hinata flustered and replied that since he made her cry, he had to take responsibility. Otherwise, his sister would get mad at him. She asked him if he had a sister. Hinata replied she's his pride and joy, a cute little sister. He noticed when Kamui was not worried about the cold, she was really expressive, and she also laughed a lot, cries a bit as well. He was kind of envious that she was trying to face her trauma and yet feeling really happy. After their practice, he saw that the whole training facility was frozen and ice was everywhere. He wondered what to do with this ice now. Then he acquired a skill, freeze thaw. Hinata was glad he received a new skill at the right time, and Kamui asked him why his expression had changed. He told her that he might be able to melt the ice with his power. She claimed that ice from her skill wasn't normal and it won't melt for a while. So she already has permission from school to release her skills here, and they won't let others come here for a while. Hinata thought that was really amazing to abuse student council authority like that, and he thought if the training facility becomes unusable, he would hate it if someone were to glare at Kamui out of hatred. He thought if he could do something about it, he would like to try. His ice thaw skill evolved to an absolute level, and he figured he should be able to do it now. Kamui was curious to see him try, and this time he really did manage to melt away all the ice. Hinata was amazed that it worked, and so was Kamui, since there hadn't been anyone who could help melting her ice before. This also suggests Hinata was kind of skilled, and it was hard for her to believe he melted it for real. Later, they were walking back together when some students spotted them and wondered if those two were at a party together. Hinata felt nervous and sorry to walk with her, which might lead to some rumors. When they reached the spot where their ways parted, she saw him off. Then Hinata told her to wait. She asked him what's up. Hinata asked if he could walk her home. He was nervous and said it was fine if she didn't want it, but she was okay with it. But she didn't know how walking back home was fun. Hinata was worried that walking behind her back would lead to rumors. It might give her another trauma, but he kind of wanted to take responsibility until the very end. Kamui's heart fluttered upon hearing those lines, and she said yes to him, releasing some cold air out of shyness. Hinata quickly melted the ice and assured he would take care of it. She was shy and told him thanks for helping her out, although her flustered face made him feel a little nervous, and he welcomed her. After that, he walked her home, with both feeling awkward but kind of happy inside. As time passed, they had been training together for a few days, and he has been making Kamui cry every single day since then while training. She told him not to worry about it, but he doesn't like making her cry as a man. He wondered what his sister would say if she found out. He offered to walk her home every day, but he never knew that one day he would really be invited to her actual home. He was greeted by Hinata's mother, Irina, and Hina was kind of stiff as he introduced himself to her. Irina claimed to have heard of him from Kamui, which kind of scared him, as he wondered if she would test him or beat him for making her daughter cry every day. For now, she just welcomed her inside, while Hinata was worried if he was going to lose a finger today. Inside the house, he was served tea, and a maid told him the young would arrive here shortly. Hinata was not used to places like this, so he kind of felt restless. Then he saw an old man sitting there and thought, who was he? He greeted the old man, but the old man was impressed to see Hinata manage to notice him. He figured he might have, since he just acquired a stealth detection skill for some reason. He noticed the old man was staring at him quite intently, making him wonder if it was senility. The old man punched him and shouted he was not senile. Hinata suddenly acquired the skill, mind reading resistance, and the old man was amazed that he could not read the boy's mind anymore. He realized Kamui surely got a good eye, and around that time, Kamui arrived in her casual clothes, a kimono. Hinata was too shy to look at her in a kimono, while she asked if this kimono suited her. Hinata replied it does look good on her, and he thought this level of cuteness was just lethal. After that, they sat in the living room, and Hinata was feeling thirsty from all the tension. He wondered why she was sitting next to him like this today, being so close. He couldn't help notice her scent. He drank more and more, getting worried he might have to use the bathroom at this rate. He then acquired a skill for excrement decomposition, a great assist by the system at just the right time. He was relieved right there, and soon enough, Kamui's mother, Irina, arrived there and apologized for keeping him waiting. Hinata didn't mind at all. Then Irina claimed they were short on time anyway. Hinata thought this was time he would be punished maybe. Then she opened a suitcase in front of him, and a black credit card of their family was in it. Irina told Kamui he was free to use that card as much as he liked. Hinata was taken aback by the sudden offer, and having that card would surely help a lot. Then Kamui told mother not to do these kind of things. Irina apologized for that. Hinata was confused about what was happening, because Irina was being too kind to someone who glared at her sister. Irina had tears in her eyes which startled him, and Irina mentioned that it's been a while since she bickered with her daughter Kamui like this. She wonders how many years it has been now. Hinata was shocked upon hearing that, and asked her if that problem of hers with cold also remained troublesome at home. She agreed that was the case, and he realized he might have not tried to understand her situation. All this time, Kamui was working so hard, just so she could talk to her mother happily. He might not know anything about Kamui after all, which made him feel guilty. Then Irina requested Hinata to let them have these good moments with her daughter more often. She was willing to buy those moments if needed. Hinata could see their resolve, and problems were really serious, and to think his skill would be such a big deal for them was unthinkable. Hinata was asked a lot for sure, but he had something else in mind and apologized to Kamui's mother. He turned down her offerings and said he didn't want his relationship with Kamui to be about money. He would keep cheering for her as always and appreciate the hard work she had been putting every day. He would do anything within his power to help. That's why he won't accept this card. He wanted to repay her of his own free will. Kamui's face turned red at his bold declaration, and Irina was also moved by his words. She asked if he would continue to stay close with her daughter from now on. Hinata didn't mind if Kamui was okay with it. Irina asked Kamui if she wanted to accept what Hinata was offering to her. Kamui replied in a quiet tone that she couldn't just give an answer so suddenly, and just ran away from there with a flustered expression. Irina tried talking to her about this being a serious matter for their family, but she left regardless. Hinata wondered what happened as he tried going after her, and Irina didn't notice when he got there. He was worried that if Kamui gets nervous again, the whole mansion might end up being frozen. He acquired the skill of Ice Seal, but he didn't want to stop her and thought he should let her keep running like this. Afterwards, he acquired the skill Stealth as he followed her without being noticed. Hinata was practicing in the dojo to process her thoughts, and she just got down when she was tired. She was still in the middle of thoughts. Then Hinata approached her. When she saw him, she was startled. He apologized for startling her and claimed he was just worried about her. She then asked Hinata why he would go so far for someone like her. She can't even talk to people properly, and she wasn't even allowed to be touched. Hinata smiled and told her properly that at first he did it because he was the one who made her cry, so he felt like he had to take responsibility. But after watching her work so hard every day, he realized how dazzling she was. He wiped her tears again as he told her that before he knew it, he wanted to stand by her side. Kamui felt relaxed around him and said she hadn't been able to touch anyone for the longest time. So she grabbed his hand and claimed she was really happy now. Kamui thanked him for everything, and Hinata was also glad for her. Right then, the old man from earlier showed up, and the sudden appearance got both Kamui and Hinata by surprise. When Kamui called the old man his grandpa, Hinata was amazed, while Grandpa mentioned that Kamui seemed to have found herself a good lad. Then he asked Hinata how he was keeping the cold of Kamui in control. Hinata replied it was with his skill, which made the old man grow wary. Suddenly, Grandpa emitted some heavy pressure, and while Kamui seemed to be overwhelmed by it, Hinata was fully fine. Grandpa was amazed to see Hinata could withstand his pressure. Then Hinata asked the old man about skills. Grandpa knew something, but he won't give that away for free. Hinata asked what he would have to do then. Grandpa directly asked him to marry his granddaughter. Kamui got embarrassed and kicked the grandpa with everything she got, sending him flying. Hinata was shocked by the sudden offering from Grandpa. Earlier, the mother was giving money. Now Grandpa was giving the whole daughter. Kamui asked him to forget what Grandpa just said, and Hinata was afraid of getting kicked like that. It even led him to acquire a defense skill. Later, they returned to the living room, where Irina seemed to be waiting for them. And this time, it seemed there was one more person here. The man introduced himself as Kamui's father, Akira. Hinata froze up seeing the father now all of a sudden, and introduced himself like a puppet. Kamui happily welcomed Dad back home, and seeing the smile on her face melted the father, and he couldn't believe the rumor was true. He expressed his gratitude to Hinata for this precious moment. Hinata replied it's not much. He was also happy because he knows Akira must have been dreaming of this sight for a long time. He stayed for dinner, and later he was about to leave for home. Kamui went to him, and he asked her what's wrong. She told him that she wanted him to call her by name from now on. He was speechless for a moment. She asked if he hated it. He replied it's not like that, but he just needs some time. He needs to prepare mentally to call her by first name. She was okay with it and told him to call her anytime. She wished him to get home safely. And he also told her to watch out for the cold too. She waved him goodbye, but once he left, she was a little bit sad. At that time, her mother came and asked if he went home. Kamui nodded and he left, and Irina remarked he was a good boy. Kamui agreed he had been a huge help to her. Irina then assured her daughter that her family would support her with everything they have, because they were their precious daughter. She was really happy to see Irina smile today for the first time in a while, but when Hinata wasn't around, Kamui would have to head back to her separate room. She wished Mother good night and went to her isolated room on the family grounds with a depressed look on face. The next day, Hinata was in front of the E-rank dungeon 117. He recalled that in the world there were many E-rank dungeons, but only 7 B ranks and 2 A rank dungeons in the entire world. Hinata needed to acquire lots of skills so he wouldn't fall behind Kamui and others. But at the dungeon gate, he was asked by the entrance guard for rank, and when he showed him it was level 0. Even though Hinata claimed he'll be fine, the guard told him he can't let someone at that level go alone. Hinata was sent back from the gate, but he didn't want to give up and wanted to sneak in. He got an idea, then used his stealth skill to make sure the guard couldn't see him. Once he was sure he was invisible, he entered the dungeon without being noticed. But then the guard shouted to stop, but it seemed to be aimed at Guy, who was there to enter the dungeon alone. The guard checked his rank and allowed him to pass. Guy spoke rudely to the guard to not stop him every single time to check his rank. After he passed, he didn't notice Hinata either. The guard was kind of troubled, and he wondered if all high schoolers were like that these days. After that, Hinata used his skilled dungeon information and learned this dungeon's name was Troll's Prison. Hinata was confused, since he thought this dungeon was Lucifano Fall, which he entered the previous time. Moreover, the scenery and environment were all different as well, meaning this was not that dungeon. Here he saw other adventurers fighting the real weak monsters, such as slimes, and yet they needed to fight in a party to win over some slimes. Hinata thought of checking out slimes as well, and he acquired skill monster analysis, which showed the slime was a fire attribute monster named Colonel. It was pleasant to hold in hand. While he was holding these calls, other seekers thought the monster was flying, since they couldn't see Hinata due to his stealth. They tried taking down that call, but Hinata dodged their attacks. He then carried away that call in hand with his fast skill to save his precious call from those attackers. However, he ended up stepping on a portal, which sent him away somewhere, leaving the call behind. He wondered where he was now. Then he saw Guy fighting a monster with a sword in his hands, and it seems he was having some trouble since he was fighting a strong troll. The troll seemed to be a tough match for Guy, and while he was managing to dodge Guy's attacks, Guy was also somehow barely dodging it and launching counterattacks. At the same time, some other seekers were fighting other trolls, and they were fighting in coordination in the party. After they managed to defeat the troll by working together, Hinata was amazed by seeing the teamwork of a party. He was all excited to be at a party someday. Then he saw Guy was having trouble with the troll, and at the same time, another troll showed up behind him, catching him off guard and landing a hit right at his back. Guy coughed out blood and sustained damage, which made Hinata a bit worried for him. Now Guy was cornered by 2 trolls, but Guy don't understand what just happened, because this area was supposed to spawn only 1 troll per party. So who the hell left this other troll here? Hinata was shocked as he realized Guy was in trouble because of him. Then when Guy was about to be attacked by trolls, someone from another party jumped in to assist him. Guy was thankful that Guy came to help him out, and together they managed to take down the trolls together and won. After Guy landed the final blow to the neck of the troll, he gasped and took a breath of relief. The man from the other party was glad the boy was fine, and Guy thanked him for the help, but they don't understand why there was another troll. Hinata knew he was at fault here. After that, the party took their leave, and Guy thought he would leave after resting for a bit. The party members told him not to push himself too hard, and the seeker's life was their most valuable asset. They were kinda impressed by Guy's skills as a solo seeker, but they were worried he might get in trouble if he keeps being reckless like that. He must be prepared to face whatever comes his way in future. That's what it means to be a seeker. Now Hinata has also confirmed that the 3rd troll spawned because of him, and he kinda feels bad for what happened to Guy. Then he saw another troll spawning here, which means he could take his turn fighting now. The troll could not see him due to stealth, so he could deal the first blow with a surprise. After he attacks, the stealth will be cancelled, so he would have to proceed with some speed attacks and defeat the troll with repeated attacks. He could see an enemy's weak point ever, since he acquired martial arts skill. Now he wanted to see how well he could fight against a troll with his current strength. He went in for a kick at the troll's neck, and after landing a blow, he quickly balanced to prepare to fight without stealth. But while he waited for the troll to make a move, the troll just stood there. Hinata thought it didn't work, and his attack power might be too low for it to damage the troll. He thought if that was the case, he was in trouble, so he should think of a way to get away for now and come back when his stealth is active again. He didn't think he was strong enough to fight that troll for now. Right then, a girl showed up and asked him if he was from Seishin High by any chance. Hinata was found out by someone, which was the last thing he wanted, and it was a girl he hadn't seen before. She greeted him with a smile while he was worried now that his cover was blown. She remarked it was amazing he killed a troll all by himself, but Hinata thought it was still alive and warned her not to get close to the monster. But she confidently told him that the troll was already dead and just gave it a little nudge, and the troll fell down on the ground, confirming her claim. Hinata was still doubtful if that thing was playing dead, to which she laughed out loud, and asked why would a monster do something like that. Hinata can't wrap his mind around the monster being dead in one blow. The girl went and teased the monster corpse to confirm it was not playing. Hinata thought she was quite a daring and playful person. Then he realized something and tried hiding his face. She asked him what happened. He pointed out that he could see something he shouldn't. It was the shorts under her skirt. She assured him it was fine. They were safety shorts, and it was normal for everyone to look at them. Hinata was still awkward, and he claimed not to be looking at them. She was intrigued by his behavior. Then another troll spawned, this time for her. She prepared to fight it, and Hinata saw her taking out some with sticks. She told Hinata what he was going to see now was supposed to be a secret, so he should not tell anyone. Hinata saw the girl standing confidently in front of the troll. Then she sprinted towards it with those wooden weapons of hers. She was faster than average seekers, and with her agility, dodging the troll's attack was no big deal for her. She focused her eyes on the back of the troll's neck and unleashed a combo attack with both sticks, then releasing a magic attack at the last moment through the wooden sticks. Hinata was amazed to see a magic weapon at play for the first time, and she was going toe-to-toe against that troll all by herself. The troll tried to counter, but she used that moment as an opening to attack even harder and land the finishing blow to the troll. After defeating the troll, she seemed pretty satisfied with her training, but when she looked around, Hinata was nowhere to be seen. Hinata was planning to sneak out before she noticed him, hoping she didn't remember his face. He thought of planning to act like he never met her later on, but then she somehow found him and went straight up to hug him. Hinata was shocked by his cover being blown, but it seems she still couldn't see him. But somehow she found him and asked Hinata to deactivate his skill. Hinata wondered what should he do now, which made the girl more eager, and she blackmailed him that she would cry if he don't show up. Hinata can't let it happen. While she was playing with him and seemed like she was about to cry, Hinata ended up undoing stealth, and she was amazed he had that kind of power. She thought he was incredible, as even she couldn't sense him at all. Hinata asked if that was the case, how did she knew where he was. She claimed to have a special ability, which made them a good match somehow. Hinata was kind of creeped out as she began checking him out, and out of nowhere made a remark if he didn't talk to people much. And he doesn't seem to be the type to make friends either. Hinata was hurt right at his vulnerable insecurities, and she asked if he was mad now. He denied, while wondering what was up with this girl. She mentioned he was kind of manly about his insecurities, as usually people hate being commented about like that. She then asked him why he was hiding earlier, but he remained quiet. She understood he didn't want to talk about it. She asked if it would be bad if someone found out about his power. Hinata was a bit annoyed now. He asked her what she wanted from him. She asked him to just form a party temporarily with her. It came out as a surprise, making him wonder just what was this girl thinking. Although he thought if he refused, she might leak his secret. So he agreed to form a party as she wanted. She was really glad to hear that and got all excited about it. Hinata doubts if he made the right choice. Then she opens a cloth and suggests they should wait until the next troll spawns. Hinata was kind of curious where she was pulling out those weapons and clothes from. He wondered if she could use storage skills. She sat down like it was a picnic. Hinata sat beside her as she suggested. She recalls they haven't introduced themselves yet, so first she introduced herself as Shino and just asked him to call her by name. Hinata nervously introduced himself, and she called him by name as well. She then asked if he was also a first year, which class in that case. Was it 2 or other? Hinata replied it was class 3, and you don't think they would meet later. Shino then mentioned that in class 3, there was an AS rank kid named Kamui, which made her think there was a rival for her after all. Hinata asked in what sense was she an opponent, but right then the troll spawned, and they got ready for battle. She told Hinata to move to the back of the troll while she distracted it. Hinata was kind of looking forward to his first party battle, and Shino charged at the troll without fear with those wooden stick weapons. While the troll was distracted by her, Hinata got behind it in an instant. Even Shino didn't realize when he got there. He was damn fast. Then he landed a kick on the troll's weak spot, leaving her confused as he took it down in one blow again. She told him he was amazing, while Hinata only concluded that attacking weak points was more effective after all. He asked her what they should do with materials, and she told him to do whatever he liked. Hinata was surprised he could keep all of it, in which case he used monster dismantling to get all the materials. Shino was having a good time and decided to keep going to hunt more monsters. In the end, Hinata managed to gather quite a few materials, and Shino asked they should head back now. But she realized Hinata was already gone. Then Hinata, who had only activated stealth, said he just didn't want anyone to see him. She asked him to hold her hand in that case. She wanted to stay with him until the very end to make sure he can't escape her. And if he ran away, she would burst into tears right in front of class 3. He had to comply with her order, and she seemed to enjoy her stall back out of the dungeon while holding his hand. Once they were outside, she asked him to deactivate his stealth skill. He did so, and she commended him for not running away. He made a bowing posture, agreeing with his lady. She was amazed he could keep up with her jokes, making her more eager to know who he was. He just claimed his sister does these sorts of things a lot, and Shino was kind of eager about his sister now, while Hinata thought Shino was similar to his sister in cheerfulness. Shino remarked it was amazing Hinata could use stealth of rank. Hinata was glad he was able to enter a dungeon thanks to it, but she doesn't think he would have any trouble getting in, being a powerhouse and all. Hinata denied he wasn't some strong seeker nor normal. Shino teased she got the gist of it till now and asked if he would be coming here to tomorrow as well. Hinata replied he was thinking of going to E90, in which case she asked him to meet her at E90 tomorrow. He didn't expect her to plan on sticking, but she reminded him they were a party after all. She picked the time to be 10 a.m. Then she plugged in earphones and went away. Hinata thought it can't be helped now, since she already made the plan. Later at the dormitory, he seemed kind of exhausted, and Fuji asked him if he had another girl problem. Hinata was worried if he was that easy to read. More importantly, he asked Fuji which dungeon she went to this time, since she was here at the laundry with dirty clothes to wash. She replied that she wanted D86. Hinata thought it was incredible to think she was already exploring D-ranked dungeons. Fuji pointed out she was just there as a backup, while the other members were handling the main roles. He still thinks it must be tough to keep up with party members. She nodded along with it. Hinata recalled having heard that a lot of seekers end up losing their lives. She wanted to work even harder so he doesn't end up being a dead weight. Fuji then curiously asked him if he knew that seekers were generally divided into two types. Hinata was clueless. She explained the first was a maintenance group who go around fixed locations, and the second type were split into the front line, who aim for new floors. And the maintenance group visits the areas that have been cleared already to obtain information and prepare their exploration. On the other hand, the frontline group stepped into unknown territories with no info or strategies. They were constantly living side by side with death. Hinata thought it was surely dangerous to be in the front lines then. Fuji mentioned that was indeed the case, but the front line has its own merits, and one of them was right there at the exploration rankings. Once a person ranks among the top 10, they get extraordinary treatment from the state, and the eyes of the whole world are on them. Hinata didn't know about this unprecedented treatment. Then Fuji mentioned she wants something to remain between them, that apparently there was a special reward involved in that as well. He wondered what it was. She replied that reward has an effect no human could ever achieve, but for some reason only the top one could get it, and at this point there was no one who could surpass the person at top the rankings anymore. The next day, Hinata was thinking about the exploration rankings and appearance of this mysterious, unregistered rank 1. He was curious about what kind of person was this number 1 and what special reward they got. He wondered if he could ever get the chance to ask this to that rank 1. He then looked at the clock and realized only 15 minutes remained until 10 a.m. He quickly changed his clothes and ran with speed boost to get to E90, which was normally 1 hour away. He didn't want to keep her waiting there. Meanwhile, Shino had been waiting at E90 for Hinata, and she was looking forward to going into the dungeon with him. Just in time, Hinata arrived at the dungeon E90, thanks to his abnormal speed. He saw Shino, and she seemed to be playing with a bird. Then he called her out and apologized for keeping her waiting. Shino jumped from his voice and scolded him to show himself first before calling her out. He apologized for keeping stealth while calling her. He then asked her if she wanted to conquer this dungeon today. She can't believe there was someone like him whom she can't find. Hinata alerted her when he sensed a monster ahead, and she pinpointed the direction. He wondered if she could use area search as well. Then, just like she said, there really was a monster there. It was a squirrel-type monster, and she told him the plan was the same for combat. He listened to her, and they ambushed the monster. She charged directly with her wooden weapon, while Hinata was getting behind the monster. This time, Shino landed the first blow. Then Hinata followed up with a kick to the monster and killed it in one blow. The monster collapsed after being defeated, and both Hinata and Shino were surprised by Hinata's power. Shino told him he could keep all materials today as well, but Hinata was used to it and more astonished by the raw power of his own kick, doubting if Shino had dealt considerable damage beforehand. They kept hunting down monsters for a while in the forest, and Hinata was getting the hang of fighting with punches now. Shino pointed out that the entrance to the boss room was visible, but Hinata was nervous about confronting the floor boss so quickly. But Shino just grabbed his hand and pulled him away with her to the cave. They saw the portal entrance ahead, and Hinata didn't think there were any other seekers here. She told him the floor boss of E90 was special. Once it was defeated, the entrance moved to a random location. Hinata didn't know dungeons like this existed, and she pulled him into the portal to the boss room. He told her not to cling to him so much, and they were teleported to right in front of the boss monster, Kike. System informed him that Kike monster was weak to light elemental powers, and its rare drop was a potion. As the floor boss approached them, Hinata and Shino got on guard in front of this huge monster. When it attacked them, Hinata jumped to the side to dodge, and he recalled the plan to battle today was to split left and right, with both party members acting as vanguard. Shino told him to watch out for Kike's attacks. Then out of nowhere, the monster breathed fire, which only Shino was aware of, while Hinata was in for a surprise. Kike's fire breath was aimed straight at Hinata, and he showed quick decisiveness and jumped in time to dodge that fire breath. It was close. Then the Kike suddenly moved its mouth, and also the fire breath, without letting the fire out. It was random, and this time the fire was aimed at Shino. Hinata called her out in worry, but she seemed to be prepared for it and used her magic weapon to unleash wind magic this time to split fire breath. Hinata was glad she was safe, and now they got this Kike surrounded from both sides. Kike roared in anger and attacked Shino with its claws. She dodged it by jumping, but then it breathed another fire to catch her off guard while she was not balanced yet. But that's where Hinata comes in and kicks the monster's leg, throwing out of balance instead. Shino followed up with combo attacks from the side, and last Lastly, Hinata jumped from top to right at the head of the beast to deliver the final blow. The monster screamed to death, marking their victor over the floor boss kite. Shino was happy as they defeated the monster as a team. Hinata asked if it's over. She confirmed it was, and didn't think it would be that easy. Hinata said it was all thanks to Shino, but she knew he was going to say that. After that, they came out of the boss room, and when they looked back, the entrance to the boss room really disappeared. Hinata was happy to get some rare potion, which sells for a high price out of this. Shino mentioned she was getting hungry now. Hinata asked if they should head to town now. Shino already decided to go back and hugged him tight without any warning. He told her it's troubling when she does that suddenly, but she didn't want him to disappear on her again. Hinata called out her name, realizing she might have a story behind it. Shino apologized beforehand for her actions, but made sure he knew she would do her best not to trouble him. Later, when they were in the market, there was a crowd everywhere, and for some reason, Hinata noticed Shino was being too quiet. He wondered what was wrong, since she was cheerful just a moment ago and now acting strange ever since they got to town. He could see she was terrified of something this whole time. He tried asking her, but didn't receive any response.